Good evening. Today I will be introducing the movie Air, which is a sports business drama released in 2023. The film is directed by Ben Affleck and stars Matt Damon and Viola Davis. The movie tells us the true story behind one of the most famous business partnerships in sports history, the creation of Air Jordan line by Nike and basketball legend Michael Jordan. The film is set in mid 1980s, a time when Nike was struggling to compete with the larger and more popular brands like Adidas and Converse in the basketball market. At the time, Nike was mainly known for running shoes and basketball division and was not performing well. The company needed a bold idea to survive and grow in the highly competitive industry. The story mainly focuses on Matt Damon, who plays the role of Sonny, a Nike basketball talent scout. Sonny believes that signing a young rookie named Michael Jordan could completely change the future of Nike basketball. However, this idea was considered risky because Jordan had not yet played a single game in the NBA, and many people believed he would sign other bigger, better brands. The movie follows the journey of Sunny and Nike team as they try to convince Michael Jordan and his family to partner with Nike. A very important character in this process is Jordan's mother, Viola Davis, as Deloris Jordan, who plays a crucial role in negotiating the deal. Her strong belief in her son's value changed the way the athlete endorsement deals were structured in sports industry. What makes Air interesting is that not it's not a typical sports movie about games or championships. Instead, it focuses on business decisions, marketing strategy, negotiation, and belief in in a bold idea. The film shows how one partnership led to the creation of the other iconic Air Jordan brand, which eventually became one of the most successful sports brand in history. Overall, Air highlights themes such as risk taking, innovation, persistence, and power to believing in potential before the world recognizes it. It also gives viewers an idea, an inside look into how the sports marketing and endorsements evolved and how one decision changed the entire sneaker industry. In the following parts of the presentation, we will further analyze the plot, themes, and key takeaways from the movie.
So hello guys, my name is Shreyas and today I'm gonna talk about key learnings and takeaways from the movie A. So what if your entire company's budget and your career rode on one rookie who hadn't played a single professional game? That's exactly the bet Sony Vaccaro made in 1984, and it changed business forever. Today, I am presenting key learnings from Air, the 2023 film directed by Ben Affleck, which tells the true story of how Nike convinced a young Michael Jordan to sign with them, and in doing so, created not just a shoe but a cultural empire. Before Air Jordan, Nike was an afterthought in basketball. In 1984, Converse commanded 54% of the basketball shoe market. Adidas had 29%, and Nike sat at a distant 17%. Nike's basketball division was nearly shut down. They had a budget of $250,000 to sign endorsers, while Adidas was offering more money and a Mercedes. Against all odds, talent scout Sonny Vaccaro convinced Nike's co-founder Phil Knight to go all in on one player, Michael Jordan. An epilogue reveals the Air Jordan exceeded Knight's expectations of $3 million in sales, earning $162 million in just 1 year. So, what can we learn from this? Lesson 1: Bet on vision, not just data. Sony didn't pick Jordan because the spreadsheet told him to. Every executive around him said Jordan was out of reach, too expensive, too risky, an Adidas fan. But Sony watched Jordan's highlights and saw something no metric could capture: a generational talent. The lesson here is a conviction backed by deep research beats consensus thinking. The more research and connections you have with your client or prospect, the more precisely you can identify the right opportunity. Sony's expertise allowed him to see what others dismissed. In business, the biggest wins rarely come from following the crowd. They come from seeing what others refuse to look at. Lesson number two: break the rules when the stakes are high enough. Sony was explicitly told not to contact Jordan's family. His agent has forbidden it. Rather than letting this obstacle stop him, Vaccaro showed up at the North Carolina home of Michael's parents to plead his case in person. Unprofessional? Probably. Effective? Absolutely. This teaches us sometimes protocol is the enemy of progress. When conventional channels fail, creative boldness opens new doors. Sony didn't break the rules recklessly. He did it with respect, preparation, and clear purpose. Know when the situation demands, you go beyond the playbook. Now let's talk about lesson number three. Know your value and negotiate for it. The most underrated character in this film is Deloris Jordan, Michael's mother, played brilliantly by Viola Davis. Deloris Jordan played a crucial role in negotiating game-changing revenue participation for her son, who was then an unproven rookie. She pushed for something unheard of at the time, a royalty on every shoe sold. Nike CEO risked removal from the board to approve it. Today, Michael Jordan earns approximately 400 million annually in passive income, a direct result of that negotiation. The takeaway: understand your worth and don't settle for the standoff offer. Dolores knew her son wasn't just an athlete, he was a brand. That mindset created one of the most lucrative deals in sports history. Lesson number four: a product becomes iconic only when it carries meaning. One of the most powerful lines in the film: a shoe is just a shoe until someone steps into it. Without a brand to give it meaning, a is just a commodity. With Nike's brand association and Michael Jordan's greatness, the Air Jordan become a symbol that people resonate with and aspire to have as part of their identity. So, at last, the big picture. Air is ultimately not a movie about sneakers, it's about conviction and conformity, boldness over bureaucracy, and the courage to back something or someone before the world sees what you see. Whether you are in marketing, sales, finance, or entrepreneurship, these lessons apply. See what others miss, go beyond conventional channels when it matters, know your value and negotiate for it. Build meaning into everything you create. Nike didn't just sign an athlete, they built a legacy, and it started with one person willing to risk everything on a belief. Thank you.
My name is Sabyasachi, and I will be taking you through what makes such a powerful and well-crafted film. Because honestly, its strengths are what makes it stand out from every other sports movie we have seen in the last decade. Let's begin with the direction and pace. So Ben Affleck sits in the director's chair here, and he makes it so effortless. The film is only 112 minutes long, and this 112 minutes, not a single scene is wasted. There are no slow patches, no unnecessary subplots. Every conversation, every phone call, and every moment of silence is deliberate. So that kind of tight, confident direction is something many experienced filmmakers struggle to achieve, and Affleck pulls it off beautifully and effortlessly. So now let's talk about performances because this cast is exceptional. Matt Damon plays Sonny Vaccaro, Nike's basketball scout, and he gives one of the most natural performances of his career. You don't see Matt Damon the star, you see a desperate, passionate man who genuinely believes in something the world hasn't caught up to yet. Ben Affleck himself plays Nike founder Phil Knight in a surprisingly understanding way, quite philosophical and oddly charming. But the true MVP of this movie, I will say without any hesitation, is Viola Davis as Deloris Jordan. So Michael's mother. She commands every single scene season. There's one moment where she calmly tells Nike executive where like what her son is worth. No shouting, no drama, just pure control and power. It is one of the finest pieces of acting you will ever see in any movie of 2023. Moving to the screenplay written by Alex Convery, the script is scarf, witty, and deeply human. What's impressive is how it balances tone. There are genuinely funny moments, tense boardroom meetings, stand-ups, and quite emotional scenes, all woven together seamlessly, making corporate budget meetings feel thrilling is no small achievement. And this script does exactly that. The soundtrack is another major strength. The 80s playlist featuring artists like Dire Straits, Tom Petty, and Starship doesn't just serve as the background music. It's world building. The moment those songs play, you are completely transported to 1984. It feels authentic, not forced. And that attention to detail adds so much texture to the film's atmosphere. Then there's emotional core of the story. Beneath all the business negotiations and corporate strategy, Air is ultimately about a mother who refused to let the world undervalue her son. The human element, that family at the center of everything, is what gives the film its beating heart. It makes you care about the outcome even if you are already know how history played out. And finally, business storytelling. This is rare. A film that makes the mechanics of negotiation, risk taking, and deal making genuinely exciting and accessible to anyone watching. You don't need to know anything about basketball or business or to be gripped by what's happening on the screen. The kind of universal appeal is real strength. So, to summarize, exceptional direction, a powerhouse cast, a razor sharp script, an immersive soundtrack, a deeply human story, and brilliant business storytelling. This qualities, these six qualities together make Air not just a good film, but a genuinely great one. With that, I will pass it over to the next member who will give an honest look at where the film could have done better. Thank you.
Uh, Hello everyone, my name is Vivek Singh Rajpurohit. So now I will be talking about the weakness or areas of improvement in the movie Air. Even though the film is very well made and engaging, so no movie is perfect and this one also has a few limitations. Let me start with the first weakness, that is the predictable outcome. Since the movie is based on real events, most of us already know the ending. We know that will sign Michael Jordan and this deal will change the company forever. So unlike fictional movies where we feel suspense about what will happen, here the question is more how it will happen. So because of this, some viewers may not feel a strong sense of tension or uncertainty. For example, when Nike is struggling or when the deal looks risky, we still know that everything will work out in the end. So the emotional risk feels slightly reduced. However, I would also say that the movie tries to overcome this by focusing on the journey, the conversations, the pressure, and the decision making process. Still, for viewers who prefer undependable stories, this can make feel like a drawback. The second weakness is the absence of Michael Jordan on screen. Now, this is one of the most talked about aspects of the film. Michael Jordan, who is the central figure of the story, is never fully shown on the screen. We only see him from a distance or hear his voice. This was a creative decision to maintain respect and also keep the focus of Nike's perspective. But at the same time, it creates a gap because when we hear a story about such a legendary personality, we naturally expect to connect with him more directly. We want to see his emotions, his thoughts, his personality. But in this film, his characters feel almost symbolic, like an idea rather than a person. So, for some viewers, this may feel slightly incomplete or even disappointing. The third weakness is limited female representations. Now, one very strong positive is the character of Deloris Jordan, played by Viola Davis. She is known as confident, intelligent, and a key decision maker in the deal. In fact, she is one of the most powerful characters in the entire movie. But apart from her, there are very few female characters who might have a meaningful roles. Most of the story revolves around male executives, coaches, and business discussions. Again, this reflects the reality of that time period, especially in the 1980s corporate world. But from today's perspective, the film could have included more diverse perspectives. Even small additions of strong female roles could have made the story richer and more balanced. The fourth weakness is the narrow scope of the story. This movie is very focused almost entirely on the Nike deal with Michael Jordan. While this makes the story clear and easy to follow, it also limits the depth of the overall narrative. For example, the film does not explore much about the broader basketball culture at the time, the social and racial dynamics in sports marketing, or how this deal impacted society beyond business. These are very interesting angles that could have added more layers to the story. So while the film is strong in focus, it sacrifices a wider perspective. And last, another minor weakness in pacing of certain scenes. Even though the movie is generally fast paced, some of the boardroom discussions and corporate conversations can feel slightly slow or repetitive, especially for viewers who are not very interested in business topics. Those scenes might feel a bit stressed. However, if you're someone who enjoys business strategy and negotiations, you might actually find these scenes interesting. So, this weakness depends on the type of audience. One more point is emotional depth for some characters. While the main characters like Sony, Deloris, Jordan are well developed, some supporting characters who do not get emotional background, we don't fully explore their personal struggles or motivations. So, because of this, their impact feels slightly limited. So, to conclude this section, these weaknesses do not reduce the overall quality of the film, but they highlight areas where it could have been even more better engaging to the audience. This movie is still powerful, inspiring, and well executed, but with a little more depth, diversity, and more focused area, it could have reached a even higher level.
So I'll be talking about the conclusion of the film. The 2023 film Air tells the behind-the-scenes story of how Nike, then a struggling player in the basketball shoe market, signed rookie Michael Jordan and created one of the most iconic brands in his sports history. A Jordan, directed by and starring Ben Affleck with Matt Affectionate and business gamble with reshaped sports marketing techniques. Set in 1984, the film introduces Nike as a distant third in the basketball league generation and trailing behind giants like Adidas and Converse. The company is facing various internal pressure, especially in its basketball division. Vaccaro, a passionate but unconventional Nike executive who believes the future of basketball and Nike has also developed and betting on everything on one of the unproven rookie Michael Jordan. At the time, Jordan is just entering the NBA and is ready to portray as a good marketing strategy for companies like Nike. And however, Sony sees something extraordinary in Jordan and just athletic talent, but a cultural representation of the black and cultural force in the making. Against the advice of the colleague and risking his entire department's budget, Sony pushes Nike to pursue Jordan and exclusively rather than endorsements across multiple layers. We're talking about various film portraits and the intense internal debates within Nike. Ben Affleck plays Phil Knight and co-founder as a quirky yet calculating leader who is appointed in Nike and with bold risks. Meanwhile, the team collaborations with designer Peter Moore is more revolutionary shoe concept regarding various other Jordans and something unprecedented at the time. A crucial turning point in the film is Nike's strategy to win over not just Michael Jordan but his family, particularly his mother, Deloris Jordan. Recognizing her influence, Sony and the Nike team pitched directly to the Jordans, emphasizing on various other aspects of the marketing techniques that can be adopted to generalize and generationally overcome the various problems in the marketing technique of the Nike. Building a legacy brand around Michael himself was a task for all competitive people and other competitive tasks other the marketing sectors. Shifting from simple sponsorships to profit sharings and the brand ownership, the negotiation scenes are among the various compelling insights of percentage of every Air Jordan shoe. The movie also highlights the risks involved. If the deal fails, Nike's basketball division will also collapse, and their tension as competitors will also rise. Whereas there is a tension between to continue to court Jordan, and uncertainty looms over whether Nike is a successful brand or a bold pitch to succeed. The film builds not through game action but through boardroom decisions and creative brainstorming ideas for marketing and stakes of believing in how an unproven idea can be successfully taken forward. Interestingly, Michael Jordan himself is rarely shown directly in the film. Instead, the story keeps him in the frame, in the focus, and people behind the deal. This narrative choice reinforces the idea that Air is not a sports biopic but a business collaboration drama about vision, persuasion, and risk taking. When Jordan finally signs with Nike, the impact is immediate and historic. The Air Jordan line becomes a cultural phenomenon and far exceeding expectations and revolutionizing the sports and fashion industries. The film briefly touches on how the brand moves forward and global icon and symbolizing not just athletic excellence but individuality and style. Air is ultimately a story about belief in talent, in ideas, and taking risks where the odds are against you. It showcases how one bold decision by a determined executive can reshape a company and reshape the landscape of sports marketing forever. By focusing on strategy, relationships, and innovation, the film reminds viewers that history is often shaped and not made, not just by those in the spotlight, but by the working behind the scenes. It is ultimately the story of all the marketing channels that have been succeeded, and it's a predetermined standardization of how techniques and aspirations work through. This film briefly touches on how the brand grows into a global icon, symbolizing not just athletic but excellence, but also individuality and style. Air is not a sports biopic, but also a boardroom decision-making marketing channel update, which has been followed by various marketing teams in the world and innovation. The film reminds viewers that history is often shaped and not built. Therefore, Air is ultimately the story about how belief in talent of marketing can exceed various other aspects of marketing techniques. Thank you.